Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll show you a horror film, The Strangers Part 2, Pray at Night. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The film begins with a couple stopping on the roadside of a trailer park. Later that night, while they are asleep, a knock on the door wakes the wife up, so she gets out of bed to check it. She approaches the door, looks through it, and sees their pickup truck empty. However, the radio is still playing a tune. This bothers the wife, as they shut the radio before going to bed. So she hastily locks the door and turns around to return to bed. However, she is shocked upon seeing a woman's silhouette standing in the corner, hiding in the dark. Although startled by the intruder, the wife asks what she is doing inside their house. The woman does not answer and kills the wife off-screen before going to the bedroom. The woman pats the dog before lying next to the husband, who is still heavily asleep, revealing her doll face mask. The scene then transitions to a family getting ready for a road trip. The couple try to be enthusiastic about the trip. However, their youngest, Kinsey, does not even try to be subtle in showing her adverse feelings towards it. Luke, the oldest, also sulks as his friends are staying in their town. He blames Kinsey because her rebellious deeds left their parents with no choice but to send her off to a boarding school, even though it caused them to be broke. The road trip to their aunt and uncle's trailer park is their last chance to spend time together before Kinsey leaves for boarding school. Kinsey and Luke bicker at each other during the ride, as their plans are ruined because Kinsey is a rebellious teenager. Later during the ride, they stop at a diner, but Kinsey is outside smoking a cigarette. The mother tries to talk some sense out of her rebellious daughter, but Kinsey is still vexed about her parents sending her off to a boarding school. She argues that it is normal for a teenager like her to be rebellious, but why must she be sent to a boarding school? Despite her hatred of the idea, the couple are through with their decision. They return to the road and arrive at Catlin Lake Gateway. As they drive into the trailer park, they notice that there is no single person outside. The mother points out that people leave the park after a holiday, so the father continues to drive and soon stops at the trailer park's office. The mother goes inside and takes the keys off the counter that their uncle left for them. After that, she returns to the car, so the father drives again and stops at trailer 47. As they enter, the father notices its coziness despite being a trailer. Not long after, as they settle in, they hear a knock at the door. The mother opens it and sees a woman. The mother cannot properly see her face because of the lack of light. She asks for someone named Tamara, so the mother tells her that she has the wrong trailer. The woman leaves without a word, but the couple dismiss her strange behavior. They ask her kids if they want to play games, and Luke gives in and tries to play with them. However, Kinsey remains seated away from them, so the father sits beside her and convinces her to play. Nevertheless, Kinsey rudely leaves the trailer to get some fresh air. The father tries to chase her, but the mother stops him, as it will only make things worse. Instead, she orders Luke to chase after his sister. Luke hesitantly obliges his mom and goes outside to talk to his shitty sister. He finds her smoking at a table outside a trailer. Kinsey instantly expresses her displeasure after seeing her brother, but Luke explains that the mother forced him. Luke tries to comfort his sister, but she walks away, dismissing her brother. Meanwhile, in the trailer, the couple begin to doubt themselves as parents as to how Kinsey turned out. The father changes the topic and tells his wife how nice it would be if they had the whole trailer by themselves, so they could make love like they used to. However, their moment gets interrupted when they hear a knock at the door. The father opens it and sees the same woman earlier. She asks if Tamara is home, so the father worriedly asks if she is lost. The woman leaves without a word, which concerns the couple, as their kids might get lost, so they decide to look for their kids. On the other hand, while the siblings wander around the park, they come upon a trailer with its door opened. The two decide to fool around in the trailer as they find a liquor bottle inside, but then they hear a strange noise coming from the bedroom. They check it and are both startled and relieved after seeing a dog. However, they smell a strong and foul smell inside. They search the room, and Luke finds the word hello repeatedly written on the windows. Concurrently, fear strikes Kinsey as she sees a blanket stained with blood with something underneath. She calls Luke's attention and slowly removes the blanket, revealing something horrifying. It is the couple murdered in the first episode, their lifeless and brutally murdered bodies tied together. Horrified, they quickly leave the trailer and run outside to return to their trailer. Fortunately, they bump into their parents, who are looking for them on the way. Their parents are confused to see them in hysterics. Luke tells them everything they saw in the trailer and promises that they are not kidding. This alarms the parents, so the father instructs his wife to take Kinsey back to their trailer and call the police, while he and Luke return to the crime scene. The mother calms her daughter in the trailer, but Kinsey notices their phones smashed on the table. Kinsey tells her mom about it, and they both realize that someone has been in their trailer. One of the phones still works, so the mother calls for help while Kinsey turns around to look for something to protect themselves. However, the doll-faced killer shows up, striking more fear in Kinsey. Kinsey is almost speechless from the shock, but still calls her mother's attention. The mother quickly puts Kinsey behind her back and hastily looks for a knife. However, the killer taunts them by clanging the knife on the kitchen counter. She plays with it and then stabs the kitchen counter, agitating Kinsey and her mother. The killer then charges at them, so they quickly rush inside the bathroom and close it just in time to save themselves. The mother yells loudly at the killer to leave them alone as she watches her try to open the bathroom door. As they are stuck inside, the mother helps Kinsey escape through the skylight. Screams fill the room as the killer destroys the door, so the mother pushes her daughter up, saving Kinsey but not herself. Kinsey tries to help her mom, but she only witnesses how her mom sacrifices herself to save her. The mother endures the excruciating pain the killer gives her with every stab and instructs her daughter to run for life. Left with no choice, Kinsey jumps from the roof and runs away from there. On the other hand, the father finally believes his son after seeing the mutilated bodies. The father wants to call the cops, but they left their phones in the family trailer. So the father rushes to the landline, but discovers that the phone wires have been cut. He then pushes a button, playing a voicemail that the mother left for their aunt and uncle. The father realizes that the killers listened to it and are waiting for them. As they walk away, they get startled by an unexpected clamor. They take cover when someone throws something at the window, breaking it. The father immediately checks the outside through the other windows before instructing Luke to leave, ensuring he will be behind his back. Luke obliges his father, but then he stops and informs him about a masked man standing outside waiting for them. The man wears a sack mask over his head and is holding an axe. The father immediately locks the door and looks for a gun. Fortunately, he finds it shortly after, so he loads it with bullets. After that, he rushes to the door and yells at the sack mask killer that he has 5 seconds to leave. The father loudly counts down from 5, and when he reaches 1, he opens the door to shoot the killer. However, the sack mask killer is already gone. Although confused and threatened, the father and Luke run away from the trailer and return to their family trailer. On the other side, Kinsey tries to scream for help as she reaches the fence, but her attempts are useless, so she continues to run away while the doll-faced killer chases her. Meanwhile, Luke and his father find their phones smashed and the bathroom door destroyed. They check it and find the mother's lifeless body with her blood handprint on the wall. They calm themselves as they realize that Kinsey is missing. They go outside and get inside the car to look for her when the sack mask killer suddenly throws a brick at the windshield, causing a car crash. After that, the sack mask killer chases Kinsey with his pickup truck. Even the pinup killer shows up out of nowhere, but fortunately, she escapes them. After a while, Luke wakes up and discovers that his father has been impaled by a board wreck, forbidding him to move heavily. The father gives the gun to his son and instructs him to look for Kinsey and escape with her. Luke hesitantly leaves his dad to look for his sister. Shortly after he leaves, the sack mask killer gets inside the car and plunges his ice pick into the father's guts, ironically ending his suffering. Meanwhile, Kinsey hides inside a trailer where the doll-faced killer lures her into the trap with the Jack-in-the-Box toy. The killer attacks her and manages to stab her leg and arm. Fortunately, before she gets killed, Luke shows up and holds the killer at gunpoint. However, Luke cannot pull the trigger, so he drags Kinsey instead and runs away with her. Soon after, they hide in a different trailer where Luke tends to Kinsey's wound, but then the killer's pickup truck suddenly drives through the trailer's front, forcing them to flee. They escape through the window, and Luke forces Kinsey to hide under a porch while he goes to the office to call for help. He runs to the office and manages to contact 911, telling them about the killers and the place. However, he soon realizes that he is not alone as the machines begin to turn on by themselves. He goes to the back where he encounters the pinup killer. She charges at him, but Luke hits her with the bat. He takes her knife away and stabs her to death with it. But then the sack mask killer shows up holding an axe. They engage in a struggle, causing them to fall into the swimming pool. Luke gives his best to fight and protect himself, but the sack mask is stronger than him. The sack mask killer stabs him in the back and leaves him in the pool where the water has mixed with his blood. Luke begins to vomit blood, but fortunately, Kinsey rescues him before he dies. She removes him from the water before leaving him to find help. As she gets on the road, a sheriff finds her. Kinsey frantically tells him about all the killings that have happened, but the doll-faced killer bluntly shows up and slashes the deputy's neck with her knife. Kinsey immediately gets inside the deputy's car, but the killer taunts her by holding the car keys. The killer opens the door and tries to kill Kinsey, but Kinsey kicks her. She then takes the shotgun, cocks it, and pulls the trigger. The killer falls to the ground from the impact, and although in awe, Kinsey gets out of the car. She sees the killer struggling, so she removes her mask and asks why she kills people. The killer only replies, "Why not?" indicating that the mass killers just randomly hunt and torture strangers for fun. Enraged, Kinsey cocks the weapon again and shoots her. After that, she returns to the car and ignites the engine when the sack mask killer arrives and totals the vehicle with his pickup truck. Although dizzy from the impact, Kinsey gets out of the car and finds the vehicle leaking. She takes out her lighter and screams loudly at the killer before dropping it on the ground, causing an explosion. Kinsey cries from mixed emotions as she walks away, but then she notices the pickup truck still chasing her. She runs away and tries her best to escape, but her injuries fail her. She falls to the ground while the sack mask killer gets out of his vehicle and walks toward her. Fortunately, before he can kill her, he falls to the ground. Kinsey sees a huge burn mark on his face and a shard of glass plunged into his stomach. Shortly after, Kinsey stops a car passing by and asks the driver for help. The driver asks Kinsey if she is okay, but then returns to her car quickly. After seeing the sack mask killer, Kinsey turns around and finds the killer behind her. So she hurriedly climbs to the truck's bed and yells at the driver to drive. The driver needs no further instructions and hits the gas, while Kinsey hits the sack mask killer with a bat, finally ending her nightmare. The film ends with Kinsey in the hospital, beside her brother, who is recovering from his injuries. Traumatized by the events, Kinsey gets nightmares. As she drinks water, Kinsey hears the jack-in-the-box noise coming from the bathroom. It's then followed by a loud knock, causing her to drop her cup and fear striking her system. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.